So Eitan had asked specifically about the last paragraph of the Amida, and since last week we were doing the Amida, we'll conclude with this thought on the Amida. So the Amida ends with Hamavarech et Amo Yisrael ba Shalom. That's the final blessing of the Amida, right? Sim Shalom ends Hamavarech es Amo Yisrael ba Shalom. In order for us to interrupt after the Amida, we say the next verse: Yiyu lerotza nim refi. May the words of my mouth be pleasing to you. And then afterwards, though, there's another paragraph. Elokai Netzor l'shayni meira. My God, protect my tongue from evil. That paragraph is added to the Amida at the end. It's not part of the Amida, but it's sort of a parting prayer. And it's a prayer that was said by one of the sages of the Talmud. His name was Mar Berei de Ravina, who actually he was very pious. He was like in the middle ages of the generations of the sages. He was a contemporary of Rava, Rab Nachman bar Yitzchak, and he was very pious. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's the way we tie our shoes, right? Which is we put on the right shoe, then the left shoe, then tie the left, then the right. I think that's a practice that we got from him, if I'm not mistaken. A few other things as well that come from him. At any rate, when he would finish his Amida, he would add this prayer. Right, so we've already discussed the fact that the members of the Great Assembly, Second Temple era, fixed the Amida. That was canonized, you can say, and it was fixed and set. But that ended, Hamavarech es Amo Yisrael ba Shalom. It ended with the last blessing. Centuries later, Mar Berei de Ravina added this little paragraph here, where it's a personal prayer where he asks that God protect his tongue from speaking evil. He doesn't want to speak Lashon Hara. He wants God to protect him so that all those who antagonize him, he knows how to respond properly, which is not to be antagonized and not to get angry. And the key to that, he says, is to be like the dust of the earth. So basically, the theme of that paragraph is complete nullification, complete bittul, which is the parting message. When we come out of the Amida, we stand at the Amida and our mouths are closed. We can't even say anything. We need to open by saying, God, open my lips so my mouth can declare your praise. We can't even speak. We're standing face to face with God. And then we talked about the fact that our prayers, when we ask for our needs, they're really not our needs. We ask for them because they're really God's needs. In a moment of total selflessness and transcendence, we can ask for our personal needs, and they're not really ours. They're really God's. We recognize that our whole life is God. But now we're about to leave the Amida. We're about to step out of the Amida. And so he prays that he continues to have that sense of humility. And that's why he says that not to have that humility, not to speak badly about others, not to react negatively to others. The key to that is he says, open my heart in your Torah, because the Torah is our guide for life, our instruction manual for living. And so if you want to know the proper way to live a humble life and a life well lived, it's through studying Torah. So he wants God to open his eyes in Torah. And of course, that ultimate humility, he says, don't do this for my sake, God. I'm nothing. I'm like the dust is. Do it for your sake, right? Ultimately, when Jews behave badly, if there is such a thing, it's God who's ultimately the one who pays the price. And when Jews behave the way they're supposed to behave, it's ultimately God. This is God's project, and he needs us. So therefore, do it for your sake. And then the Amida concludes with Oseh Shalom, a prayer for peace. Just like the Amida concludes really with Hamavarech et Amo Yisrael ba Shalom, bless your people with peace. So the end of this supplemental prayer, additional prayer to the Amida, also ends with a prayer for peace. Oseh Shalom b'Ramav, and peace. We say he who makes peace in his heavens should make peace down here. What does that mean? Because in heaven you have angels. So even though there's no jealousy and competition in heaven, but the angels are polar opposites. You have fiery angels. You have pleasure angels that are compared to water. Angels compared to fire. These angels can consume each other, and yet they don't. Everything is in peace and harmony. And the same thing is we ask for God to make peace with us down here. To make peace with us here doesn't mean for all our differences to melt away. It means that we should be peaceful and together, even with our differences, even while retaining our own uniqueness. And that's really true peace. True peace is not about having everybody conform to one ideology, to one way of life, to one way of thinking. Peace means we can have different opinions, and not just that we coexist and that we tolerate each other, but we can live in true peace and harmony. True peace and harmony means we complement each other, we enhance each other, we complete each other with our own uniqueness. So that's the ending prayer of the Amida. This paragraph, as we see, we read this personal prayer of Mar Berei de Ravina, but the same is true that this is a place where we can inject our own prayers and our own petitions, our own requests. This would be one of the places in the Amida we can do it, would be at this point as well.